Hi, this is your host Swapnil Bhartia, and welcome to TFR Insights. Linode was honored with multiple honors in the or at the 15th annual Stevie Awards for sales and customer service, which was announced in February. Today we have with us Rick Myers, Vice President of Customer Support and Success at Linode. Rick, first of all, congratulations and welcome to the show.
Thanks, Swap. Thanks for having me as well. It's always a pleasure.
Can you tell me a bit about this award itself? What is a Stevie Award, and what is the importance of this award for a company like Linode?
Sure. The Stevie Awards have been around a little while, and like you said, they recognize individuals and businesses in both sales and customer service categories. They have a ton of different categories that of awards that people compete for. Obviously, we are only eligible or only working in the customer service side of things, which is really exciting because there are so many other big names and so many people that you know of and people that you respect and people who you look up to in these awards. So getting one of these awards or even competing in these awards kind of gives you that validation of all that hard work that you do, that you're in that league. So when we're able to get silver awards, bronze awards, or in the past even gold awards, it really does make us feel like we're doing the right thing by our customers.
So, if I'm not wrong, this year your team took away a silver award for Customer Service Department of the Year, and there were some metrics in your nomination that kind of made a big impression on the judges. So, if you can talk about the process, I don't want to get deeper into the process, but what are the factors that play in influencing judges' decisions? Hey, they are the best guys for this category.
If you want to get deep into them, I'd love to. But if that's for another day, we can just talk about a couple. We measure so many metrics, monthly, weekly, yearly, quarterly, that are really important to us. And some of them are contributing, and some of them we find are KPIs, our key performance indicators, and those are the most important ones to us. The two that we are most proud of this year that we did submit into the Stevies and the judges did recognize were our customer happiness or customer satisfaction. We raised it to 92.24% over the year, which is, if you think about that number by itself, it is really, really incredible and we're really proud of it. But what I think is even more something to feel proud over is that when you have that high of a customer satisfaction rating, bumping it up even just a point or bumping it up half a point is a really big achievement. If you're at 50%, you can pretty easily get to 60 or 65%. From 90 to 92 or from 91 to 92 and a half. Those are big jumps. So we're super proud of that this year. The other one that we really focused on this year and is great validation of all the hard work that our support team did was our time to first response. So we measure the amount of time from a customer opening a ticket or writing us an email until we're able to get back to them with our first response. And in our core values, our first response is supposed to be our last response. We also measure first update resolutions. So how many times a customer doesn't need to get back to us to continue asking questions, to further their questions so we can get back, so we can solve the problem for them immediately. Our time to first response was improved by 63.57% this year, which again, when you already have a pretty good time to first response, that's a massive jump, 63.57%.
You also won 2 silver award for customer service training or coaching program of the year, which also means that your teams should be well trained to deal with these questions, to address those questions, so that the customers doesn't have a feel of another ticket. It should have a feel of, hey, somebody cares about us. So can you talk about what are the processes that you have internally, uh, which your support teams go through, so as to become such a great customer support team?
So those specific awards went to our training team and our quality assurance team. So they're recognizing some of the efforts that our training team does from the time that a employee is hired up until they're trained, all the way through their initial training, which is usually 6 weeks or so, in addition to the mentorship and continuing education classes that we do throughout the year. So in addition to your initial pretty intense training that you go through to learn everything from how Linode works to how Linux works to how we do customer support, throughout the year, you have to continually refresh those skills. And that's something that we started last year that we were really excited about. A couple that we did, for example, were a big refresher on customer effort, which is a metric that we measure internally, which is our most important metric. It's how much effort a customer needs to exert to solve their problem. We also did a networking refresher, which was not new content, but rather something that people who have been here 3, 4, 5 years, they just didn't get that training 5 years ago, so it was time to put everyone through these classes and just give a refresher. So that was a really cool initiative that we did this year. In addition, the quality assurance team who spot check tickets, spot check information going out to customers to make sure that we're solving problems, to make sure that we are living by our core values, making sure that we're giving people complete answers, and essentially keeping us in check day in and day out.
Another category that you won an award, if I'm not wrong, was Voice of the Customer. And we have had this discussion earlier also, where you alluded to the importance of listening to the customers, which is critical to not only improving the user experience, that actually improves it for other customers as well, because that overall improves your experience. So can you tell a bit about, once again, what processes you have in place to not only collect feedback, inputs from customer, but also respond to them?
Sure. So I'm so excited about this initiative because this was really the culmination of a lot of different moving pieces that came together for kind of the first iteration of a customer feedback strategy. And we actually have this year coming up a whole other phase of our customer feedback strategy that's just as exciting, just as impactful, I hope, as it has been. So essentially, a few years ago, what we were getting really good at was inviting people to give us feedback. But we weren't great at intaking the feedback and collating it and collecting it and aggregating it and all that kind of stuff that goes along with that. So a few years ago, we had a top level objective to deliver on the voice of the customer. And part of that was just getting the voice of the customer. We didn't have a problem, as I said, getting the voice. We had a problem internally with putting it together. So we use all kinds of channels now to collect the voice of the customer, tickets, emails, phone calls. We have a feedback email that is displayed in the Linode Manager that customers use quite a bit. Executive business reviews by our customer success team, Twitter. I could go on and on. There's so many. And what we do now is we actually aggregate all of that stuff into it's pretty elementary, actually. It kind of proves that you don't need some fancy stuff to do this. That all goes into a Slack channel, just a massive Slack channel that everyone in the company is in. From there, people can read that stuff. People get pinged on that. There's a lot of discussion. There's a lot of talking about what a customer is saying in there, which is kind of the first key, is that if you make it public and you make it streaming and you make it available to people, as opposed to behind a login somewhere or in some specialized piece of software, people want to see what customers are saying. You just have to give it to them. And when that happens, kind of this magical thing happens where people start talking about it and people start discussing it and they start threading ideas about how they can fix something. And the next thing you know, it's done. The next response in that thread is that, oh, okay, I just released it to customers. Sometimes, that's not always what happens, but sometimes that's what happens. So the next step with that is, once it gets into the feedback channel, that's actually in addition to us putting it in a board somewhere, where it gets collected for product development and for the executive team and stakeholders to prioritize and to discuss and see what's going to go next on the roadmap. Next year or this year, we're going to get better at collating that data. So creating really succinct product ideas and product feature ideas and bug reports and all that kind of stuff into very condensed packages. So we can say, we have X many customers asking for this. It's costing us this much, or it's going to bring in this much money. It's impacting this many customers. We think it's going to take this amount of time to work. This is how we're going to do it. And kind of delivering this like portfolio, this small package of like, here's the next thing we should do. And all of that is because our customers told us we should do it. So that's really exciting.
As exciting as it is that you have won all these honors and awards from Stevie, that also kind of raises the bar and a standard for Linode itself. You're not going to compete with others next year. You're going to compete with yourself next year in the next awards. So how do you plan to not only keep up with the bar that you have set here, but also to improve on it?
Yeah, so luckily these awards are super validating, super exciting, but we are entirely motivated outside of them. So we have already planned out our year, certainly our biggest initiatives for the year, and they're just as big and exciting as these past ones have been. A lot of them are building on some of the stuff that we have already won awards for. So it does, like you said, give us some additional pressure to, you did the MVP, you have the first iteration, you got to knock it out of the park for the second one too. But what motivates us day in and day out is seeing the effect on customers and seeing the effect on our processes and procedures and being more efficient and making happier customers and lowering the effort that customers need to solve their problems on Linode. So if we do right by our customers, if we do right by those initiatives, then hopefully the awards and recognition will follow. But we're going to focus on helping customers first.
Before we wrap this up, what I do want to know from you, we have spoken about this earlier also, that the kind of industry that you operate in, there are two kinds of users. One are that they themselves are tech savvy. They want to leverage a lot of Linode technology, whether it's Kubernetes, whether it's GPUs. But at the same time, you also have a lot of users who just want to run their WordPress site. They just want to run a website to sell something else. So you have a mix of two kinds of customers. So when it comes to customer support, when you deal with these two different sets of users, number one, what kind of challenges it poses? Because there may be a user who doesn't even know what PHP is versus there is a user who is asking questions about what's next coming up in Kubernetes and GPU. So how do you keep your teams not only up to date to handle the high-end user, but also kind of explain things in layman terms to a user which is not that tech savvy?
Yeah, this is a great question. And we don't have any tiers in our support team. So we don't have a way to separate out that one customer is just asking about, billing, which is easy. It's not as technically, you don't need this technical proficiency to be able to understand, versus our most technical user, like you said, asking questions about Kubernetes and GPUs and programming languages and all kinds of things that are really difficult. We think it's important that everyone on our support team is able to help every one of our customers for both reasons of providing the best experience for our customers, but also creating growth opportunities within the support team and growth opportunities outside of the support team into other departments. We have a really great culture of internal promotion at Linode. So for all those reasons, we have to balance those two types of customers. The way that we do it is essentially amazing training, great quality assurance, and continuing education. If people are able to have that breadth and that knowledge set to be able to help all of those different customers, that means that they're going to have to get challenged in one way or the other. Identifying those challenges for a person, and then having great managers and great leadership to be able to point them in the right direction and grow them in terms of training, in terms of one-on-ones, in terms of external trainings, whatever we need to do, that's going to develop them into better support people, and that's going to translate into better customer experience.
Great. Thank you so much for taking time out and talk about these stories, which play a role in helping you win this award this year. Congratulations and good luck with the awards next year. Thank you.
Thanks, Swap.